Hey everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sasha and in today's video we are taking a look at the Peavey Vypyr X2. So this is the Vypyr X2, which is from the third generation of the Vypyr series. And there's also an X1 and an X3. Obviously this is a modeling guitar amp and it has all the features that you would expect from an amp like this. So it has built-in amplifier simulations and effects and all the stuff like that. But let me highlight the things that stand out on this amp compared to other modeling amps. So the Vypyr X series amp all have the trans-tube technology. That means we have analog distortion. And the benefit of that compared to digital distortion is that it will cut better through the mix. So this really helps when you want to use this amp in the band context. Then we have a variable instrument input. So that means you can not only connect an electric guitar to this amp, you can only use this amp with a bass guitar or an acoustic guitar. And when you plug in an electric guitar, you also have the option to use some instrument simulations. So you can make your electric guitar sound like an acoustic guitar or like a bass, for example. Then another cool feature on these amps is the what you see is what you get interface. So that means you always see the right position of the controls, and also when you change the presets, the controls will change with it. So before we go more in depth, I will show you some different sounds of the amp. In this case, I have the amp mic'd up. Later in the video, I will connect the amp via USB to my computer and I will use the built-in audio interface to record the sounds. Alright, so now I will show you how this amp works, how you set up your sound and save it as a preset. As I said before, all the sounds you will hear from now on are recorded through the built-in USB interface. Okay, so now I will show you how you can dial in some tones with this amp. On the left side we have our guitar input, and then we can choose our instrument type. So you can plug in electric guitars, acoustic guitars and bass guitars into this amp. And for each kind of instrument you have different banks. So bank A and B are for electric guitars, bank C is for acoustic guitars, and bank D for basses. And on each bank you can have 4 different presets. And you can change these by pressing this button. And there you can save all the sounds that you create. Then we have 3 bigger controls, which are instrument and stomp boxes, amplifiers and effects. So instrument and stomp boxes, on the left side we have some different instrument simulations like acoustic simulations, 7-string simulations, bass simulations and all that kind of stuff. And on the right side we have different stomp boxes like fuzz, compressor, boost, analog, phaser and all that kind of stuff. To choose one of these you simply have to turn this knob. And there are 2 colors. The red one is always the left, so now we have the tube screamer, and the green one is the right, so now we have the fuzz. Then we have the amplifiers, and there we can choose between different electric guitar amps, bass amps and acoustic guitar amps. And when we press the button, we can change the channels of the amp, so we have always a clean channel, which is green. And a crunch channel, and a lead channel. And what's pretty cool, if you, for example, plug in an acoustic guitar and you go to the acoustic bank, then you can only choose between the acoustic amps. And the same is with bass. So if you plug in a bass, so you can only change between the bass amps. So this really makes sense. Then we have the effects, which is basically everything that would come after an amplifier in your effects loop or something like that. So we have tremolo, phaser and all that stuff. And we can simply choose it by turning the knob again. Then we have another 5 controls here, which are basically the controls for the amplifier. So we have pre-gain for the amount of distortion, then we have low, mid and high for the EQ, and then post-gain, which is the preset volume. So now let's say we want to create a guitar preset with an amplifier and a pedal in front of the amp and also an effect in the effects loop. So let's first choose an amp. Let's go with the classic, for example, but in the crunch channel. Now let's say we want to add an analog phaser in front of it. So we go here, that is this. And now let's say we want to adjust the settings of the phaser. Then we simply have to press this button. And now we are here in the secondary mode of these 5 controls. So now you can see we have here P1 and P2 instead of pre-gain and low gain. And these are the controls for the effect that we just have chosen here. So mainly this is like the speed of the effect, and this is the intensity. And now we also have the option to add delay and reverb to the tone. So here we have the delay feedback and the delay level. And here is a tap tempo switch where you can change the delay speed. So in this case we don't want any delay in the sound, but we want some more reverb, which we can adjust here. Then we can simply press this button again and we are back. Now we have this sound. Okay, so now let's say we want to add a tremolo effect. So we choose the tremolo. And now we want to adjust the settings of the tremolo, so we simply press this button and we have the same here. We have here the speed and here the intensity. And we go back. And now when we want to save the sound, we simply go here to the bank, push the button and hold it, and then it's saved. So let me show you some of the instrument simulations on this amp, because this is really fun. Alright, so that was the Peavey Vypyr X2 and I'm really impressed how good it sounds. Especially the crunch and the high gain tones sound very good for a modeling amp. And I think that has to do with that analog distortion thing. It's very cool that you can plug in a bass guitar or an acoustic guitar. I was really impressed from the bass guitar sound especially. So I have really not expected that it sounds that well. I also really like the user interface, so it can be a little bit overwhelming when you see it first. But when you get used to it, it's very simple to get new tones, add effects and save them as a new preset. The instrument simulation is really fun. I mostly enjoyed the 7-string simulation and I think it sounds pretty good in relation to the price. So you will feel some kind of latency. As I said, you have to see it in relation to the price and it's just a lot of fun to plug in your electric guitar and make it sound like a different instrument. One thing that I want to mention is that this amp also has a built-in looper, but you can only have access to the looper if you have the additional foot switch. So there's one negative point that I have to point out, and that is the app. So there's actually an app where you can change tones and save new presets and stuff like that, but it's only available for iPads, not for iPhones, not for Android smartphones. So you really have to use an iPad if you want to use that app. But to use this amp you really don't need the app, so you have all the functions on the amp except of the looper, for which you need the foot switch. Alright, so that was it for today's video and I really hope this was helpful for you. If you're looking for a very versatile modeling guitar amp, then I can really recommend you to check out the Vypyr X series by Peavey. I will put also some links down in the video description where you can find this amp online. If you want to support my channel, then please make sure to use my affiliate links down in the video description. This really helps me a lot and I would really appreciate it. Besides that, you can support me on Patreon, there you get access to guitar tabs and backing tracks. Or the easiest way is simply to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you're new here, so that we can see each other in the next video.